older than him, although it doesn't really show. A couple of things I would say in response to Sean is, one is that he had to recall things without looking at his medical records because he never kept his medical records up to date. And with regard to healing and healing himself, not many people know that he did his own vasectomy. And fortunately, it was reversed because there was some wonderful people that followed that procedure. Jim meant a lot to all of us, and it's hard to put that into words to a group like this because he's part of my family and we loved him. But he loved this community more than anything. True. And to the community, I request you great thanks for all you did for him. And I know he gave you lots, but you gave him more. And thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Bob. I'd first like to thank Jerry, Tanya, Julia, Sean, Cheryl O'Flaherty, and the staff of the hospital for making all this possible. You've done a fabulous job. Really appreciate it. Now, as many of you know, Jim came from, by today's standards, a large family, 7 children. It went Kathy, Jim, Sandy, Bob, me, Bill, and Betsy. You'll be quizzed later to see if you can remember that order. So it's my honor to say a few things about Jim as our brother. Now, people change over time. It's not a bad thing, it's a fact. And as Jim went from being a young boy to an adult and later on in his life, our relationship with him changed. And what we thought of him and some things we appreciated more than others about him. But I'm going to start at the beginning. In many pursuits, Jim was a leader. He started this trend at a young age. He was our fearless captain of what was known as the Chicken Coop Club at the farm in Delhaven, Nova Scotia. Jim showed early interest in all things medical. Still not 10, he had learned how to dislocate Sandy's elbow, but not how to reduce it. He had to wait to medical school to learn how to do that. He also had an early foray into the School of Fractures when in Woofle, when he was starting to play football for Acadia. We were throwing the football around in the yard, and Jim fired a pass, a very hot bullet pass. I think Bob was the intended target, and Bob took a look at that thing coming in, and he went, yeah. Unfortunately, Betsy was right behind him, took it in the arm and broke her arm. So he thought, I better go to medical school and learn how to undo some of the things that I do. But we watched in awe as Jim hit the teens. There was the big Indian motorcycle, girls, hockey, football. There are many labels and adjectives that can be used to describe our brother. Some of you already heard here today. Generous, kind, caring, fun-loving. They all fit. But I heard one earlier that I think is the best label. He was a competitor. And I mean a fierce competitor. He wanted to win. I remember when he was playing hockey at Acadia, and I'd be in the president's house, and the rink was just 100 yards away. And I could hear him in the bathroom. And I think, how can he go play hockey? He's sick. He was just so keyed up. He wanted to go in that rink and win. And there's the same for ping pong or bridge. I didn't know it was about Christmas tree gathering, but I believe that. I remember well going out for a jog with Jim. And some of my siblings have done the same. Betsy's nodding her head. And you'd be going, and he'd be laboring behind. You say, I better ease up, you know. He's not in very good shape. And you'd kind of ease up a little bit. Well, he would invariably catch up to you, pull down your shorts, and then sprint to the finish line, the driveway, and do a little imitation of Rocky Balboa. Yeah. I won, you're too slow. But Jim taught us many things, as any big brother should. Stretching on road trips. Now, many of you think, well, yes, that's important, get out and walk around and stretch. No, his idea of stretching was, okay, everybody ready? Floor it! And he would, both feet to the floor. I don't know how he didn't get tickets, but he didn't. Jim took us to the mine shaft to earn us all our degrees in mine shaftology. I still have the card in my wallet from the mine shaft to prove my pedigree. Jim loved a project, and I can't remember a time, a visit to Lobstick Bay that did not include one from reshingling the boathouse roof to a new deck, screening the deck in, general boathouse repairs. I do remember a time in the early 80s, there was a big old poplar tree, and it was threatening to fall. And Jim said, let's cut that down. I said, oh, good idea, sure. So we had ropes going this way and that. We had an ATV here and a truck there. And he said, we're going to drop that tree right down this line. It's going to be perfect. Well, that tree missed that line by a good 45 degrees. But it didn't hit anybody. It didn't hit any cars. It didn't hit the cottage. So we declared it a complete victory. Cut that up and carted it away. No one knew the difference. Now, Jim was a very generous brother to us. He, at one point, I think he gave Bob a Volvo 142E, and that led to, I had a 142E, Billy had a 142E. They were great cars, and he was always very generous as well. He seemed to know when you needed something, and he said to me when I was a young married man, why aren't you in a house? I said, well, I'm saving up my money for a down payment. He said, I'll lend you the money. I said, wow, I didn't ask him. I daren't ask my parents. He said, no, I'll lend you the money. I said, okay, that's very generous. And within a year, we'd saved up our money to pay him back, and I went to pay him back, and he said, nah, you just keep that money for a time when we'll do something fun with it. And I said, yeah, okay. Well, after 5, 6, maybe even 10 years, I mean, it's growing, the amount. And I said, well, Jim, what am I going to do with this money? I mean, I'm going to have to pay tax on this or do something with it. He said, I tell you what, he said, let's go get kilts. Let's order up 2 kilts with all the paraphernalia. And then you can pay me back the principal, but that will be the money, the income for that. So I started the Highland thing, getting him going on kilts. And Sandy got a kilt, Bob got a kilt, Bill got a kilt. You were him.
I got married in a kilt in 1987.
Was that your kilt?
Yes.
Your very own kilt?
I own it.
Didn't it come in the right size?
They're expandable.
The bagpipes, I love the story about the bagpipes. Wes, I'm sure you did everything you could. You're very accomplished. Jim loved to do it, but as someone said, he struggled with the happy birthday. Jim loved his siblings and their families. Not only took over our Aunt Kathy's birthday calls, but he would frequently reach out, characteristically, on a Sunday night. You'd hear the silence. You didn't know there was a telemarketer or Jim. There'd be the pregnant pause. Hi, it's Jim. How you doing? He would not finish that call till he had a full report on every one of his nieces and nephews. And then if the sister-in-law or brother-in-law happened to be there, let me talk to Jane, let me talk to Margot, let me talk to Bea, let me talk to Kim. And so it would go on. So he was always genuinely interested in all our lives, and I'm told that he was proud of us. He certainly loved his Nova Scotia roots and did not miss many opportunities to attend medical conferences in Halifax. There are some rather off-color stories about what happened when he did attend those conferences, which I'll tell people later if they want. Anyway, as the siblings had our own commitments, Jim was always the one to make sure we got together for fishing trips and come to Kenora as often as we could. In any event, I miss Jim. Betsy and my brothers miss him. And we will never forget him. Thank you.